Okay, so Purbach has this great book from years ago, which I guess if one way a little, yeah, How Nature Works, right? So awesome. So he was famous for being, I met him once years ago at Santa Fe. He's a lovely guy, but I guess in conferences, really, just would go at people, just not pleasant, which, is some people's thing. I don't know, and so in Australian rules football, there's a thing called white line fever, which is nice people off the field, nice bloke, but when they cross the line onto the field, they're a psychotic nut job, which somehow is okay. Anyway, but video means some people end up in jail. So this is it. So he writes this book, right? I understand everything. A little strong, perhaps, but good for him. He had fun. Anyway, so as I said, the sand pile thing didn't really work out. So we've got this great analogy for stuff. Turns out that little model, which is eminently sort of makeable, I suppose, and testable, doesn't produce these things. So humans, are very determined, right? So they keep exploring. What this is a snapshot from 2 plexiglass plates put together, and this is long grain rice. Doesn't work for short grain rice. Long grain rice being dropped in up here by the graduate student. So there's a graduate student here. I'm sort of saying this hypothetically, but I'm pretty sure, who's like titrating long grain rice, which they sourced at a local store. And then there's another graduate student here counting the sizes of things. Could be the same one, but professors are nasty people. So and you could imagine maybe 30 concurrent experiments with different kinds of shapes of things. Yeah, rice, couscous. Let's try some teff today, poppy seeds. So it turned out that having some elongated structure, like in this case long grain rice, produced the avalanches. This is still debated about, but it was something that finally we made this thing, which we think is a thing that models other things, look like the thing we believed it was. Yeah, sheer determination.
0.049.
I don't know. I should. These are. I think it was a Norwegian group. I remember seeing them give talks about it and people yelling and shouting and being upset. I know, sand piles. All right, so, but I have to tell you, there's a whole cornerstone of thinking about huge systems was sand piles. And I was sort of surprised a few years ago. I was traveling, meeting some people at I think it was Utah, just talking to people, as you do when you kind of travel to give a talk, individual talks. And there was one guy who was working on what he called sand pile things, and so it was on networks, very abstracted by this point, but it was exactly, you can imagine the network version of this, right? So you have your little beans at each thing and then spreading. And you can see it feels like it's kind of like diffusion. But as far as I could tell, I didn't know about the original work at all. Like it had just sort of marched off into, degrees of separation, and the original sort of work had been forgotten, and now it's this fun, abstract, pure math thing with ideally no application, right? Unsullied by potential to be involved in reality. Maybe it will, in generations to come, but that's not why you do it.